Ever wondered why your Wi-Fi slows down when too many devices are connected, or why some networks feel faster than others? The secret lies in wireless bands and channels. In this video, I'll break down the differences between 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz bands, show you how to avoid channel overlap, and explain how Wi-Fi standards like 802.11n and 802.11 AC impact your connection speed, whether you're setting up a home network or studying for the CCNA. This video will give you the tools to optimize your Wi-Fi. Ready to boost your network performance? Let's dive in. Because a frequency range can be used for the same purpose, it is customary to refer to this range as a frequency band. For example, frequencies that range from 530 kHz to about 1710 kHz are used by AM radio stations. That's why we can call it the AM band, or even the AM broadcast band. The frequency band mainly used for wireless LAN communication is between 2.4 and 2.4835 GHz. This is generally referred to as the 2.4 GHz band. It's still more convenient to call the 2.4 GHz band than to announce the entire range. The 5 GHz band is also a wireless LAN range that is between 5.150 and 5.825 GHz. The term band is simply a diminutive used for convenience. So, don't worry, you won't need to learn all the frequency ranges. It is just important to remember that for the Wi-Fi of LAN networks, only the 2.4 and 5 GHz bands are used. Here is the representation of the different channels of the 2.4 GHz band. For compatibility and management reasons, tapes are usually divided into a number of separate channels. Each channel has a number and is assigned to a specific frequency, at least for the 2.4 GHz. A channel therefore corresponds to a single frequency, and here is the representation of the channels for 5 GHz. We will now analyze the difference between the 2.4 and 5 GHz bands. In the 5 GHz band, each channel is assigned a frequency range that does not overlap with the other frequencies. In other words, the 5 GHz band consists of non-overlapping channels. This is not the case for the 2.4 GHz band. On it, each of its channels is so wide that it cannot avoid overlapping. If you look closely, each channel covers a frequency range that is assigned to 4 consecutive neighbors. On the representation, we can clearly see the spacing of the channels in relation to the width of these signals. The only way to avoid any overlap between channels would be to configure the APs so that they only use channels 1, 6, and 11. And this, even if there are a total of 14 channels. It's best to choose channels that don't overlap in your network. We will now discuss the standards of Wi-Fi and access points, the APs. A 5 GHz cordless phone can only communicate with a Wi-Fi access point, which is compatible on channels in the same band. That is to say, also 5 GHz. In order for a device to work with an access point, they must also share the same compatibility with the official 802.11 standard. Here is a table that shows the different evolutions of the IEEE 802.11 standard. 802.11, 1997-2 OBPS original, 1997 standard. 802.11b, 11 Mbps, and introduced in 1999. 802.54 Mbps, introduced in 2003. 802.1a, 54 Mbps, introduced in 1999. 802.11n, 600 Mbps broadband, introduced in 2009. 802.11c, 6.93 Gbps, very high-speed broadband, introduced in 2013. 802.11 WEX 4x 802.1. ELEC, High Efficiency, Wi-Fi 6, introduced in 2019. Each time this standard evolves and develops, new amendments with new functionalities are added. These changes are represented on the table by a suffix of one or more letters. For the CCNA exam, you need to know by heart the different speeds of all the Wi-Fi standards. That is to say, the various amendments. The CCNP goes even further in terms of speeds and the different coding schemes. Wi-Fi devices and access points can be compatible with the different versions of the 802.11 standard, as long as the devices agree to use the same amendment. So for a device that can work on both bands, one might ask, how does it decide which band to use? Well, generally, access points can operate on two bands simultaneously to support all the clients that would be present on each band. The band used to connect to an AP is chosen based on the operating system, the Wi-Fi adapter driver, and many other internal configurations. Just remember that a Wi-Fi client can associate with an access point on one band, and as soon as it finds better conditions, it will switch to the other band. Cisco access points have two radios to support both BSS on a 2.4 GHz channel and other BSSs on a 5 GHz channel simultaneously. Radios are a collection of transmitters and receivers. Some models even have two 5 GHz radios that can be configured to run the BSS of two different channels at the same time. This makes it possible to offer wireless coverage with a greater number of users who are located in the same neighborhood. On Cisco's Wi-Fi architectures, the assignment of the right channel on access points is done automatically and dynamically, which makes the task plus easy. Wi-Fi architecture is part of the next chapter of the course. On the other hand, dynamic attributions are dealt with in the CCNP courses. On our good old home internet routers, whether Free, Bouygues, or Orange in France, you will notice that the 2.4 and 5 GHz bands are available. It is important to know that in a completely open space, radio frequency signals will propagate further with the 2.4 band than on a 5 GHz band. And in a space partitioned by walls or with the presence of objects, well, the 2.4 GHz band penetrated walls more easily than the 5 GHz band. On the other hand, as we have seen previously, due to its overlap, the 2.4 GHz band is likely to be more congested. And yes, don't forget that only 3 channels with no overlap are available in 2.4 GHz. Channels 1, 6, and 11, which means that it increases the chances that your neighbor will use the same channels as you. On the other hand, with the 5 GHz band, which has many more available channels, which makes them less congested and therefore less interference. To close the course, here are the terms and abbreviations to know. Access Point, AP, Basic Service Set, BSS, Basic Service Set, Identifier, BSSID, Distribution System, DS, Extended Service Set, ESS, Independent Basic Service Set, IBSS, Service Set Identifier, SSID, Station, STA, Workgroup Bridge, WGB.